money to make money. I mean, in order to get revenue coming in, you've got to spend the money to get the revenue to come in to pay the loan back. Investing our future is important, and loans are a big part of what the city really should be doing. We should be borrowing money responsibly and paying it back and getting the right interest rates. And again, we hire the right people and know how to get the best deal for us. But I really think that it doesn't make any sense to me for somebody to spend a whole bunch of money up front and then everybody else that gets on board later on gets to use all these services basically for free. But we're all in it together. Let's all pay for it together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
Repeat the question again, Mr. Myers, please.
Yes, sir. If you're elected to the City Commission, and if you're presented with a request to borrow funds, what criteria would you use to determine whether or not the city should borrow?
That's a little different question than the answers have responded to. I think the criteria I would use for borrowing money would be is to who does this benefit? If this is to do some Disney-esque thing downtown because it is going to, because a supersized Ferris wheel is going to bring more people downtown, and that's going to benefit small business, you can make kind of an argument for that, but it's not one that I would make. If, on the other hand, we have areas of the town where we have stormwater problems and we can fix that, then that, I think, is a criteria that I would use. Something which is broadly beneficial to all of the residents, not just one segment of the population, be it business or a certain area of town. I think we want to broaden the fact of any money that we might borrow for projects that are for the entire town. Be that such as may, it may turn out that we get smacked with a hurricane hard, and we have to borrow money to react to it in a certain area, but that's a different sort of thing than I think the question is being asked.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Austin, you wrap this question up, sir.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. If you're elected to the City Commission and you're presented with a request to borrow funds, what criteria would you use to determine whether or not the city should borrow?
Yes, I would borrow money if it would benefit the city, the downtown, the shops, the restaurants. Our downtown needs help. The four big issues for me is the marina, the main beach, the golf course, and the airport, and they could carry themselves if they have a little bit of help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, candidates, we'll now move to round three, some hot topics. And we'll start with you, Mr. Johnny Miller. First question, do you support island-wide consolidation of any governmental functions, such as police or fire, under either the city or county? If so, why?
We're in the county, and I know the county. I mean, if I can angle it just right and stand on my roof, I can see Yulee from my house, this channel, Sarah Palin. The county's great. I mean, the county's got their services, and they have fire, they have rescue, and they do come on the island. Is it something we should look at? I think so. I mean, I think that every option should be explored, but the recent studies that I've seen are showing that the assessment that the county fire department just received, they didn't do as good as maybe they could have. And I don't know if we want to take on, our fire department's fantastic. We're running things great. I mean, like I mentioned, the response time, that's absolutely unheard of. And you can argue that it is expensive. I mean, $2,000 a call, but if I'm having a heart attack and it costs $2,000 for you to get there in less than 3 minutes, I'll write the check. So I'm not sure if we should take on kind of the responsibility of adjusting what we've got right now as far as fire goes. Police services, Chief Hurley and Sheriff Leeper meet about once every week or two, I think, and discuss on their own, have a coffee hour type thing, and they discuss the best ways for the city and county to work together, not only in the response team and for public safety, but also how to save money. So they're discussing ways that they can save money for their county and their city. I think if all department heads did that, I think that would actually work out pretty well. Yeah, we should look at it. I mean, if it's financially viable and it's something that I mean, nothing should be off the table. But I don't think this is the time. I don't think this is the time to be talking about combining city and county services. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
I'm not in favor of a combination of, or sharing broadly, county and city services. I think the problem with shared responsibilities is that you wind up with a kind of a blurred line of authority where nobody quite knows what the other's doing or supposed to do. Bills get passed them and they don't get paid. I think what we want is a very clear demarcation between the city and the county. And part of the reason for that is that the city and the county are going further apart all the time as far as their needs and agenda and that sort of thing. We are, according to the Community Development Department, a little more than 96% built out. The county is something like 3%. We have a large rural area. What their needs are compared to what our needs are really quite different. So the idea that we might have a common local development code, a land development code, common rules for signage, for noise, and sharing a fire department, I think that's a mistake. I think, if anything, rather than sharing to the extent we do now, we need to draw a sharper line between the two. Yes, we want to be their friends, but what they need are 20,000 homes in Terra Point, a new school, and a General Motors assembly factory to support it all. And that's very different from the kinds of needs we have on the island. So I think that the idea of sharing, given that the needs are so different, is one reason, in addition to the fact that it's not financially appropriate. The needs and the way in which we operate are also very different and growing to be ever more different.
Thank you. Mr. Austin?
Yeah, repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Do you support island-wide consolidation of any governmental functions, such as the police or the fire, under either the city or the county? And if so, why?
At this time, we need to do whatever we can do to work with the county to keep the channels opened. So we have to have good working relations, which we don't now, but we have to start. And whatever we can do in this economy, we have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curtin?
There are some services right now that could be not consolidated necessarily, but there could be a greater cooperative effort and maybe a deal arranged between them with respect to the services provided here on the island. Right now, I think the police already have, and the sheriff's department already will mutually support each other, as will fire rescue will respond to where the most convenient one that's closest will respond to the incident wherever they may be. Formalizing that agreement is possible, but it would not be a form of, I would not say consolidation, but a cooperative agreement that with defined responsibilities for each party. However, that would take a lot of dealing, a lot of negotiation, and a lot of give and take on both parties' part. I would say that it's something that we could look at and pursue and see if there's a workable solution. Other things that has been mentioned, such as zoning and needs of the city versus needs of the county and development and such like that, they're vastly different, and I think they would probably be well kept separate. We have very strong zoning laws here in the city, whereas the county has, as we all know, has looser regulations for zoning, and I don't think we all like to see our zoning go the way of the county's zoning. Theirs is necessary for there, but I don't think it's what we want here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, continuing the hot topics, Mr. Williams, the next one is coming your way. Why do you favor or oppose city assistance or subsidies for the Shrimp Festival and for local nonprofits?
I'm not so sure about favoring assistance to the Shrimp Festival. I think that they could get organized in such a way as that they can make out pretty well on their own. If they're bringing 150 to 180,000 people to the island, they ought to be able to figure out how to make money off that. In West Palm Beach, they have the Sun Fest that grosses the city $3 million. It's serious money, and we have a big crowd here. We need to make it, they need to find a way to make themselves profitable, more profitable. As to the nonprofits, there I think we do have a responsibility, partly as has been discussed in the commission, is that by giving money from the city, it allows them to get matching funds from other folks on the outside, and that's important even if we give them minor amounts of money. But I think the other thing about it, and why I think we ought to be, if anything, more generous, is that these are services that people are doing, a lot of them, and volunteers that are doing it for the love of it, for the good of their fellow man. And if they didn't do it, this would wind up back on the city's coffers out of it, and that's the sort of thing which the city probably doesn't do awfully well. And I do think the commission has a duty to put money out for this stuff. I've heard the argument that the commission should leave this up to the taxpayer to spend the money, but the fact is that the commission gets a good deal of information, a lot of information that the public just doesn't have. And so I think that their choices are certainly likely to be better than mine as a citizen. So I'm for the city to support nonprofits, not so for it to support the Shrimp Festival.
Thank you. Mr. Austin?
Repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Why do you favor or oppose city assistance or subsidies for the Shrimp Festival and local nonprofits?
I would be for not helping the Shrimp Festival. Let them take care of themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curtin?
Well, I would separate the Shrimp Festival for the other nonprofits, as has been mentioned here by others. The Shrimp Festival is a money-making operation which I believe can very well stand on its own, and it has done so for years. Now, the nonprofits, I have to give you again my philosophy on taxes. Taxes are monies collected by a government for the purpose of running that government, and they're collected by the police power of government, and they're not charity and they're not voluntary. So I do not think that our tax money should be directly applied to non-governmental operations, because the purpose of taxes is to pay for the government that imposes the taxes. There is plenty of opportunity, and there are plenty of opportunities to provide help to the charities and to the nonprofits that we have here in town. And they're all good organizations, and I think they should be supported, but I do not think that 5 people sitting up here should be making decisions that are really up to you as individuals and who you want to support in the charitable world. The country has got a very good charitable record, and I don't think it's government's business to do that. Thank you.
May I ask whether or not Mr. Curtin is suggesting that because the tax money from the commission goes there and it helps these people to survive in their nonprofits, and if they don't get that money, they don't survive, so that then the entire load comes back on the city, where it will be paid for by tax dollars, and far greater number of tax dollars than by the small increments we provide to the nonprofits.
And Mr. Curtin, you may have 30 seconds to respond to that.
I'm not going to change my position on that. I think he's asking me a hypothetical question that has any basis at the moment, in fact, and anything can happen. But I will stand by my philosophy on taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnny Miller.
I just wonder if I should maybe slide back a little bit. I'll move that you, my running mate here, just kind of steal my thunder in an agreement with that, but I think we've went into our first disagreement. I am for supporting the Shrimp Festival, and the question, I believe, was offering assistance or subsidies. I think that we should offer all the assistance we can to our Shrimp Festival committee. As a city, it's a big part of Fernandina. It's the Island Lake Flag Shrimp Festival. The history goes all the way back to the shrimpers, which we're losing. You know, what do we have, 4 shrimp boats left on the island? It was a shrimp boat race. It evolved into this great festival, and it's become an art festival, and there's a lot of vendors, and people are making a lot of money. But let's not forget the roots and what we're doing here. I mean, there are people, I'm not fortunate enough to be born and raised here, but I know a lot of people who are, and Shrimp Festival, you can always tell the ones who are from here because they call it Shrimp Boat Festival. They don't call it Shrimp Festival. But Shrimp Boat's a big deal to a lot of people. It's a lot of memories, you know. It's their family's heritage. Normally the Shrimp Fest king or whoever's in charge is somebody who remembers the Shrimp Boat races when they race around Cumberland Island. So yeah, I think it's important. And do we spend money on it? Sure. You know, spend money on it. You pick up the trash. You know, we don't get an argument about paying for garbage pickup for Shrimp Festival. It brings a lot of people to our island, but it's also a history thing. I think it's important to maintain our history, and I don't think we should be cutting corners there. As far as nonprofits, I'm in 100% agreement. I think that with my gentleman to my left here, I think that they provide a lot of services that the city would end up having to pay for anyway. As far as the whole playing God, you know, argument about who to give to, who not to give to. Yeah, we should look at saving, you know, getting, you know, the Council on Aging to be able to travel around back and forth to Jacksonville over maybe a snail or something. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we should look at it. We're smart enough to figure out which ones that are helping us and are helping people versus which ones aren't maybe so much. I think we can handle doing that without having to say nothing for anybody or something for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. The next hot question, Mr. Austin, I believe you're up on this one. A clear and present issue facing the city of Fernandina Beach and its citizens and its visitors is beach renourishment. What priority do you give to this effort? In the event the city refuses to fund or support this project, what alternatives would you consider and explore? Beach renourishment question.
We need our beach. I'm for anything we can do to enhance our main beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curtin?
Well, beach, as I said earlier on, the beach is probably our greatest asset and is what draws the biggest draw for people to come here. Obviously, we need to maintain that beach, and beach renourishment is important. A few facts on that are right now, beach renourishment programs are funded by the 80 to 87% or by the federal and state governments. We and the county, or the occupants of the island here, are responsible for the remainder. Now, the TDC bed tax collects about $3 million a year. 10% of that by the original is supposed to go to beach renourishment. That's per year. Beach renourishment, monitoring, and maintenance. And it doesn't say Fernandina beaches, it says Amelia Island beaches. And those go from Fort Clinch to South Point. So it's one package, and those ones should be available to the beach renourishment program from the TDC's bed tax and the designated share for beach renourishment, 10%. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
We're actually pretty lucky that in the late 1800s that the Navy or the government did build that jetty out there, because that does give us 80 to 87% of federal funding to renourish our beaches. We absolutely, it's not a matter of if they don't. The city, we have to get this project done. The beach renourishment isn't just so we have a pretty beach. It's a block for hurricanes. There was a town in South Carolina that opted not to do beach renourishment, and the town right next door did it. They were hit head-on with a hurricane, and it looks like a line in the sand. An entire street block was gone. When they add sand to the beach and the beach goes out and it creates more sand and it creates a breakwater for an incoming storm, if God forbid we take a direct hit from a hurricane, the beach renourishment could save an entire city block. John Grisham's house might disappear if we don't have beach renourishment. But about the county and the county getting involved, the county, they're kind of dragging their feet on this, from what I'm understanding, and they don't want to pay their share of it. They're supposed to pay their half of the 10%. The county doesn't understand is there's a lot of income coming from those John Grisham houses that's going into county coffers. If they lose that block, it's not a good investment not to put sand on the beach to keep that entire area from getting hit. I think we need to hope for the best but plan for the worst. I think my house is disposable. I've got about 15 things in there that I really can't live without, that I know I can get out of there. But when I go home, I think, hey, if we get hit by a storm, if you live in Florida, you can't be too sentimental about your home, but you want to be sentimental about the taxes that those homepayers and those homeowners are paying in. And I think it takes our city leadership to get the Nassau County leadership to stand up and realize and take the importance to make them understand how important it is that they fund this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams?
The problem with John Grisham's house is that it won't disappear. One of the things living close to Sliders as I do is that I go by there frequently, and when you see the number of cars that are there from Georgia, from Camden County, from anywhere but Fernandina, you wonder whether or not this is an equitable arrangement we have for paying for the beach. Yeah, we absolutely have to keep the funding up. We've got to keep the beach. It is, as Johnny has said, it's vital protection for us in a storm. But at the moment, the way in which we pay for it seems not equitable. One of the things that has been mentioned by people actually that live on the beach is their willingness to pay $1, maybe $2 a front foot for their beachfront property. And if you take this over a couple miles, 10,000, 12,000 feet, and multiply that so that every 5 years that produces another $150,000, $250,000. It's a significant sum, and it would be a good contribution. And it is certainly true that the people that are on the ocean side of Fletcher are the ones that are saved and their home values preserved by beach renourishment. We need a little more equitable way, in short, of paying for renourishment.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next hot one question will be started with you, Mr. Curtin. Over the past years, 2 enterprise funds, the golf course and the marina, have required taxpayer support. What direction would you take to support or oppose the city's continued financial assistance of these 2 enterprise funds?
Well, the golf course and the marina, yes, they have been operating in the red for the past several years. I think the city made the right decision to employ a management company, the concept of it, employing a management company for both places. I think at the marina, it has apparently worked fairly well as of right now, and the marina is coming back. The golf course, unfortunately, and it may be a function of the particular company, has been allowed to fall into disrepair. I think the city's choices are there: either take it back and run it itself, or find another management company and turn it over to them in its entirety to run as a true outsourcing program. The marina could probably benefit from the same thing, and I think I would push for that if it's that we would either take it back ourselves and run it, or turn it over to a management firm that would have full and complete authority and responsibility for it, and the city would, of course, take its fee or whatever the contract is for the operations of the marina. But I don't think this halfway measure that appears to be now, with the city partially responsible and the contracting firm partially responsible, is working too well. So I would say that those are the choices we have: either take it back or turn it completely over to an outsourced management company. Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, sir. Over the past few years, 2 enterprise funds, the golf course and the marina, have required taxpayer support. What direction would you take to support or oppose the city's continued financial assistance of these 2 enterprise funds?
I'm going to have to say that I need to do more research on that, because I'm not real educated in how much taxes that we're spending on our marina or our golf course. I know the marina is being privately run by WestTrek right now. But what I will speak to, before I answer that, I'll do research, and I'll have a better answer for that, and I'll put it on my website. But to answer your question about management of the marina and management of golf course and outside entities, Westrec's done amazing things at our marina. I mean, they've gone down there, and they're in the business to make money. Again, it's a small business, a business owner wanting to do business, and they know what to do to make money down there. And it's really good to have somebody down there that knows what they're doing. There was a storm that came through, and it damaged a part of the marina. And the two owners or the two managers that worked there have another marina in Fort Lauderdale. They knew what the problem was. They knew how to fix it. They got a van. They loaded everything up from the other marina in South Florida. They drove up here, went out there and fixed the dock that day. In order to get permitting to do that through the city, I think it might have taken more than a day to do it. So I think it behooves us to have it run by somebody who specializes in what they do. But as far as taxation and how much money that we pay into those, yeah, we need a golf course. It's unfortunate what happened with the grass, and I think we've got that resolved and everything, but we can look at it. I mean, do we need a golf course that's owned by the city? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But if we do, then yeah, we need to do it the right way and make sure that our taxes are going and being spent in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
Well, I certainly favor this town having a golf course and the marina. The marina is something I really do know about, and the key in any government or any private entity is good management. It doesn't matter whether it's public or private. If the management is good, things are successful. We have a police department which is far more difficult to run than any city marina, but we have good management there, and we have a successful police force. The reason that the marina has turned out to be better and improved, and if you took away the horrendous debt service that is part of it, which came from years gone by, 8 or 9 years gone by, the marina turns a small profit. But the key has really been not so much Westrec as it has been the marina director. He's done quite a remarkable job, and it's a nice, well-run marina, and it's showing more success every year. The golf course seems to me a little different. I've watched the managers as they come and speak to the commission, and I got to say that the management, just because they come from Billy Casper Golf or whomsoever, doesn't necessarily mean that these managers are the best that are available. They've changed. They expect me as kind of young, kind of inexperienced. This is a small operation, a pretty good training ground. I think that the problem really comes in management, and I think that if the city were to work toward finding good management in either place, there isn't any magic in a Westrec name or in a Billy Casper name that we can't duplicate here.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Austin, you're the last one on this question, I believe.
Would you repeat the question?
Yes, sir. Over the past few years, 2 enterprise funds, the golf course and the marina, have required taxpayer support. What direction would you take to support or oppose the city's financial assistance of these 2 enterprise funds?
If we can't make them work, we need to farm them out. It's no in between. It's yes or no, and let somebody manage them, farm them out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, the last hot potato, Mr. Miller, we're going to start with you on this one. Downtown parking. What is your position on downtown parking in Fernandina Beach?
Well, I'm very for downtown parking.
Very good.
I'm assuming we're going to the area of parking meters and the availability of parking spaces. I think we can do a better job of letting people know where our parking is. People who aren't from here have a hard time finding our 2 public lots. They're by the library and over by Cafe Caribou in that area over there, and the one behind Cafe Caribou. And all of us that live here know there's certain lots that we can find, and we know where to find them. When we want to park downtown, we know where. I mean, I could go behind the crab trap and park. Oh, I just gave it away. But yeah, there's a lot of parking down here that I think we could get better educate our visitors on where to park. Do we need parking meters? I don't think so. I think parking meters, when I pull into a town and I see a parking meter, I'm thinking that right away they're out to get me. You know, they're going to try to get me any way they can. When you have a downtown business, you do need traffic there. You do need cars to move out of there. We do have a 3-hour time limit in the historic district, semi-enforced. People ask me all the time if I park here, will my car be okay there? It depends. You know, if you see a chalk mark on it, then no, you need to move your car. But we can enforce that better if we need to. If it gets to be where too many, you know, if you own a business, obviously, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you never park in the prime parking spot. You park around back. You know, they don't want you taking up the good parking spots unless you're a really nice car. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that people can get to the stores and use them, and not business owners know not to park and block their own business. So, but you may park in front of somebody else's business. So it's a good idea to make sure that doesn't. I think we're good at taking care of that. But yeah, I think if we could tell people where the lots are already, I don't see any need for parking meters. Maybe we could enforce a 3-hour rule a little bit better. I think with that, we need to come up with a system that if somebody does leave their car down there for a good reason, like they can't drive their car home at night, there ought to be a way that we can mark that car so that that car doesn't get towed. That's happened. Give us as business owners and restaurateurs a ticket or a way that we can make that happen.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams.
When I mentioned to friends here in town the idea of parking meters, they look at me like I'm from Mars, and I'm not from Mars. I was a long time ago from Chicago, and I spent a lot of time in South Florida with my daughter, and I think that we are a very unusual town. I can't think of another on the coast, and in the Port Inland Navigation District has a different meeting in every coastal town, every coastal county, once a year, and all of them have parking meters. Now, at some point, that's probably a useful thing. Similarly, when I look out at the beaches, how to get some revenue from the people. The beaches are free, but to park cars there free seems kind of unfair, given the fact that we wind up spending between $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, depending on the year, in beach nourishment projects in maintenance of those beaches. We didn't used to have to do that. We do have to do it now, and we're going to have to, and we ought to get the people that use the beaches to pay for it. Now, Fernandina people who have paid through taxes, they ought to have a parking sticker which allows them to park anywhere downtown or out on the beaches because they have paid that. But we wind up with so many visitors making use of our free facilities. They don't really expect it. They go to all these other beach towns and they pay. And I think we can do that here. The question of how to implement it fairly and how to collect money and tag people that have violated it, those are the details, and they're very important. But I think basically at the end of the day, we're going to wind up with some kind of paid-for parking.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Austin.
Lynn Williams covered everything I was going to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Mr. Curtin.
Well, there's several things that were brought up here tonight that some I agree with and some I disagree with. I do not think that parking meters either here or at the beach are the answer. I think that they are a turnoff. I think better signage and more indicate where available parking is a way to go. Better usage of our available space also. Like out at Main Beach, we've just added some parking places in the center area between as it runs up past Putt-Putt. That has greatly increased parking availability there, and that's what we need. Down here, we have the lots. We have the area over here, right next to where the old city commission building and police building used to be, is available for parking. That would be a great place to encourage a public-private approach or private enterprise to come in and build a multi-story parking garage that would be compatible with the area, which of course would be paid parking. That would be a way to increase our parking capacity. Right now, the one thing we should not do is give up any existing parking places for whatever reason may be presented. So better use of the space we have, and looking forward to building a multi-story parking garage downtown would probably be the most beneficial thing for the city. That, of course, would have to be a private enterprise thing, and I think it could be done. But parking meters, I think, are a turnoff, and I do not think, because they come here, they can go out to the county and not pay for parking because there'd be no parking meters. I think we lose business that way. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right,
sir.
may I ask, Andy, how it works when you're going to have a parking garage down here that's paid for, competing with the downtown parking, which is free? How does that going to work?
Rebuttal time, Mr. Curtin.
I think that with the demand for parking, that that sort of thing would probably take care of itself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have one last hot issues question, and that will complete the questions. Then we'll go to some acknowledgments, and then we'll allow the candidates each to make a closing statement. For our last hot issue question, I believe, Mr. Williams, you're up. If you were sitting on the commission today and you had the opportunity to vote on the $600,000 project to renovate the library, how would you vote, or would you stop the project and return the $600,000 to the bank? This question is from the audience here tonight.
Well, I absolutely would support the $600,000 to complete the renovation of the library. I think the library is a critically important asset in our city, and it needs to be supported. I think the long-range aspect of the library, which is a county library in our city, that the way in which it gets funded is confusing. In the long term, my guess is that library will become the Fernandina Beach Library, and the county will remove from it. Now, there is a lot of state money that comes to the county and flows through into the library downtown, and that's a fairly awkward thing. And how you get around that, I don't quite know. But I think that when you hear what's being talked of in the county right now, and their view of it, and this kind of funny thing about 30% cost overruns, that's an excuse to me that they just simply don't want to pony up the money right now. So I think that, yes, certainly do what has to be done to put our money toward fixing the library. It's important to us. But long term, I think there is an important negotiation, an important arrangement with the city and the county to get this, to get a clear demarcation of who's paying for what, and ultimately I think it becomes the city library, and that would be the best solution.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Austin?
Thank you, Lynn Williams. I'm for keeping the library. We have to have it.
Thank you. Mr. Curtin?
Well, right now we've got, I agree that the library is a vital function of the city, and I think we need to retain it and improve it. And the plan right now calls for $600,000 for the city, which I support. The source of it I didn't necessarily agree with at the time, but I realized we had to honor the commitment, so it was necessary to do it that way. There's $600,000 pledged by the county. I've heard about that they're reneging on that. I don't think that's the case. They pledged it, and the Friends of the Library have pledged $400,000, and they may be able to raise that a little bit through their fundraising activities. I think we must go forward with this, but this is one of these projects where if there's $1.6 million available to do the job, that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room. You're going to have to. We have only one chance to get it right. We can't do the old government thing of there's never time to do it right, but there's always time to do it over. We can't go that way. We've got to get it right the first time. If we get it right the first time, we will have a very fine library facility that will handle us and provide the services we need in the community for the 21st century. If we don't do it right and screw it up and put the money in the wrong places and for the wrong reasons, we will end up with a turkey. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Miller?
Thanks to the city commissioners, I know a lot about roofs that I didn't know ever before when it comes to the library after attending a couple of meetings. I think they're doing a very good job of making sure that this money is being spent the right way. That's a quick answer. Give the Friends of the Library the money they want, and don't ever give money back once you have it.
All right, sir. Thank you. We will make some closing acknowledgments, and then we will call on each candidate to make their closing statement, what have you. The Fernandina Observer would like to thank the City of Fernandina Beach for the use of the Commission chambers this evening, with a thanks to City Manager Joe Garrity and City Clerk Pro Tem Kim Briley for her support. And upstairs in the technical booth, Mr. Michael Rooney, our IT Director. The election day is Tuesday, November 5th. Absentee ballots were mailed out on October the 17th. If voters wish to request a mail ballot, they should contact the Supervisor of Elections office directly, in person, by phone, mail, or they may go online at www.votenassau.com. The last day to request a vote-by-mail ballot for the general election is October the 30th. Places to vote on Tuesday, November 5th. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will be 3 voting places. Precinct 101 will be the Martin Luther King Elm Street Recreation Center. Precinct number 102 will be the Atlantic Avenue Recreation Center. And precinct number 201 will be the First Baptist Church at 1600 South 8th Street. We please encourage everyone to exercise your right to vote. We will now go back to the 4 candidates and allow them 2 minutes each, up to 2 minutes each, to make a closing comments. We'll start with you, Mr. Austin.
Yes, I feel like my experiences growing up in Fernandina is going to help me make decisions for the future. My background is business, forestry, and building construction. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Curtin.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. First of all, I'd like to thank Susan Steger and the Fernandina Observer for hosting this event tonight and give us an opportunity to present our views. And also Mr. Myers for taking his time and to be our moderator, and he did a fine job at that. I really appreciate that. I think, in summing it up, my background, my managerial and administrative background, both in government and the civilian world and government operations, has prepared me well to take the job of City Commissioner in Fernandina Beach. And I hope you will agree that come election day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
I'd also like to thank Ms. Steger and the Fernandina Observer, and you, sir, as well. Thank you very much. And thank you for everybody who came out and sat here for an hour and 20 minutes. We live in a diverse island. We live in a really diverse downtown. I see it all the time. I mean, we've got people that live in the plantation. We've got shrimpers. We've got service industry workers. I think we need a diverse city council. I think we need somebody, city commission. I think we need somebody that can represent all of us. I don't have all the answers, but I also don't have any preconceived agendas. I think we got to put the little things aside and get down to business. Let's get down to business of doing well again. I think that you got to take everything and look at the details and make the right decisions. But hopefully we'll have a good turnout on election day, and the right person will be up here. But regardless of which the 4 of us it is, I hope that person is accessible to all the people and make sure that they get. And we have to make our own decisions, and we have to speak for what people want. But also, I think we really need to listen to what people want us to do. So, thank you again very much, and this has been a lot of fun, actually.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
I've spent probably 30 years in the building of large, complex machinery, and the contracting for which and the proposals for which are complex and important, and the detail is important. I think in that kind of living, I think there's something here that as the city goes forward with complex kinds of things, and everything we're doing is going to be increasingly complex. The ability to sort through this is something that I've spent a good deal of time doing. And I think one of the things that unfortunately we have in this town, and I don't think it's just limited to this town, is a kind of a faith in lawyers, that if you give a lawyer a contract, he can read through it and he says it's okay, it's fine. But lawyers are looking for statutes and that sort of thing. They aren't very good at looking for how the money turns out or how the construction detail is. That's not their job. But we somehow slide a responsibility onto them that they're not really competent to take. For instance, I think that the very unfortunate contract that we arrived on with Brett's as to how the city gets not 5% of the gross, but 5% of 5%, that's something a lawyer might miss because it was perfectly legal, but it's something that is in the business world, I would have picked it up in a heartbeat. That was just not the right sort of thing. So I think I bring some ability to this, and I think it's important that in this that we move forward, but we do so in such a way that we bring the whole city forward, that we keep the very real kind of atmosphere that makes this town so attractive to all of us, and we take the entirety of the business into the next years.
Thank you, candidates. We appreciate your willingness to serve your city. We thank you for participating this evening in the program. We thank you for your professionalism in conducting the debate. And to the audience, we appreciate you being here, and have at it now. Thank you, thank you.